Namaskar, Jai Hind. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss about the VRIO framework that comes under internal environment analysis. That is topic 6. This is a very interesting topic. Let me tell you that as we know that the SWOT analysis is the fundamental tool of strategic management. So here in this framework, we are going to discuss about the strength and weakness part. That means here we are going to see how the opportunity threat comes from the environment is going to be the whether we are going to we are going to mitigate the threats posed by the environment, or if there is if there is an opportunity from the environment, whether we are going able to exploit it or not. So that depends upon strength and weaknesses of the organization. So here we are interested about the resources. So how resources are going to be useful while we are facing any threat, or if there is any opportunity from the environment we are going to exploit. So here, first of all, let us try to understand what is the rationale of this resource-based study. So the resource-based view of the firm considers each organization's resources to be unique and the heterogeneity among organizations with regard to their possession of these resources. That means every organization is not having the same resources. That differs from organization to organization. So here, the organization which is having better resources, they are better than the competitors. That means they are competitive. Okay, so that is what the rationale of this resource-based study. So first of all, let us try to understand what is resource. So that definition is given by the J. Barney, a famous strategist or the scholar of the strategy. He defines resources as all assets, capabilities, competencies, organizational processes, firm attributes, information, knowledge, and so forth that are controlled by a firm that enable the firm to conceive of and implement strategies designed to improve its efficiency and effectiveness. But the other school of thought of the strategists, they differ something on that. So they defined it like Michael Heath and Duane Ireland and Robert Hoskinson. They define capabilities as the capacity for a set of resources to perform a task or an activity in an integrated manner, and competencies as resources and capabilities that serve as competitive advantage for firm over its rivals. So there is a debate going on between the scholars, academic fraternity, about the resources, capabilities, and the competencies, about the term used. But here we are going to use the resources this term. Okay. So they are saying that it is interchangeable, but here we are going to think that the resources we are going to discuss on this point. So the resources can be categorized into the tangible resources and the intangible resources. So we understand that intangible and the tangible resources. Just we try to understand what it means here in terms of the organizational resources. The physical resources, that we can take the example of land, location, building, plant, equipment. Financial resources such as cash accounts, receivables, shareholders. Organizational resources such as evaluation and reward systems. Technological resources as patents, copyrights, trade secrets, and the intangible resources, as defined by the Dist, Lumpkin, and the Eisner, intangible resources as those that are embedded in unique routineness and practices that have evolved and accumulated over time. So, like here, we can take the examples of those like human resources, such as capability of employees, experience, judgment, work team relationship, and trust among employees. Innovation resources as technical and scientific expertise, ideas, reputation, as we know that that is going to matter a lot for the organization. There are certain organizations, they are reputed of trust and all. So they are built over the time. Okay, that takes time to build. And we can also take the example of organizational culture. Like if you take the example of Tata during the 2611, how the employees of the Tata in Taj Hotel, they tried to protect their customers, even they were willing to give their life. So this is how the organization is to develop. Here, let me try to make you understand that the tangible and intangible resources are difficult to identify, difficult to copy, whereas the tangible resources, compared to that, easy to copy. So what VRIO? So the VRIO stands for valuable, rare, inimitable, and non-substitutable, exploited by the organization. Okay, so we will see one by one. So here is the resource valuable. First of all, we try to understand here that we were discussing that the this is resource is valuable only if you are able to face the threat, or if there is any opportunity you are getting from the environment, you are going to exploit that environment or exploit that opportunity. Okay, if it is valuable, the resource is valuable if the customers are willing to pay you more. So on this basis, we can try to understand whether the resource is valuable or not. And if the resource you do not, if it is not valuable, then definitely you are going to have the competitive disadvantage. And if you have the valuable resources, then definitely you have the competitive advantage. Then the next point is, we can take the example for that as well. Like for example, the Swiss watch industry that provides watches with a high degree of craftsmanship and caters to consumers who value handmade artisanal watches with outstanding design attributes. And consumers are willing to pay more for the Swiss watches for the connotation of luxury associated with the Swiss made tech. So here, what resources they have? They have the a skilled labor. That is the valuable resource they have. Like if you take another example of Intel as well, they have their skilled employee, because they are working in the technology and the innovation. So if they have the skilled employees, then only they can survive that, and that is why they are the resource, they are successful in the market, they are competitive. So we can say that they are having valuable resources. Then is the resource rare? If you have the resources, that is valuable, but if it is available for everyone, that means your competitors are also having. So then in that case, you are having temporary competitive advantage. Because in the long run they may be having better resources. So that is why we need to also say that that whatever the resources we have, that must be rare. That means it is not easily available to the your competitors. So we can take the example of Google here, that Google's superiority in the internet search space is driven by its algorithms and its huge repository of prior searches, which are a valuable resource, but they are also rare in that the rivals firms do not possess a similar resources. Why? Because whatever the repository searches they have, they can analyze it, and they can definitely improve the system, and they can predict something. So that is why but other the competitors are not having. The next question is the resource inimitable or difficult to copy? So definitely, whatever the resource you have, if it is difficult to copy, then definitely you are having added advantage. Okay, if it is not difficult to copy, then it is very difficult for you. Like then we can define by this Rumelt. He has defined these conditions are typically referred to as isolating mechanism. So we can try to understand how the sometimes the business organization can have the resources which are not easy to copy, or it is difficult to copy. So there are certain conditions for that. Let us see it one by one. So unique historical condition. Unique historical conditions means that you faced a difficult situation, or you had one experience, and based on that you developed your capability. Okay, so that based on your experience you have developed certain capability, or you developed certain way, so that cannot be easily copied. So you must have seen, even in case of medical profession, in the case of legal profession, in the case of teaching fraternity, the teachers who are having more experience, that means they have gone to the different phases, they have gone to the difficult phases, and based on that they have developed certain strategy. So that capability is very difficult to copy. So here we can take the example of Coca-Cola as well. The huge advantage which the Coca-Cola company possessed over its arch rival PepsiCo in several markets globally, where the two compete head to head, can be substantially attributed to the benefits that the Coca-Cola company received during the Second World War from the US government, when the construction cost of several of its global plants were subsidized by the US government. This global expansion was undertaken by Robert Woodruff, the president of the Coca-Cola company, in response to a request by the General Eisenhower to provide a bottle of Coke to every serviceman and women, regardless of where in the globe of the individual was doing duty and what it cost the Coca-Cola company. So you can easily understand these unique historical conditions made it very difficult and expensive for PepsiCo to replicate the advantages afforded to the Coca-Cola company, owing to the financing of this plant cost, and provided the Coca company with a competitive advantage in several of these markets. So you can understand. So legal restrictions, sometimes the legal restrictions also can prevent that whatever you have, that is not going to be copied by others. Like if you take the example of medicines, so in that case also you are protected, and the legally protected, and the other business organization cannot copy it. Another question is the resource non-substitutable? That means if you are able to substitute, then the cost should be higher. So that is what the condition it is. Okay. So if it is non-substitutable, definitely you are having added advantage for that. So sometimes conditions change. Like if you take the example of Swiss company, now they are facing with the smart watches. So the so if it is your so they are facing the difficult situation nowadays. So here you can see that for the younger and more technologically aware consumers, this may be increasingly be viewed as a redundant resource, which is being substituted or trumped by a different resource. That is the technological capability to develop and market smart watches. There is therefore a possibility of the competitive advantage enjoyed by the Swiss watchmakers being eroded, owing to the key resource being substitutable. And here and finally, the resource organizational exploitable, that means whatever the resource you have, whether you are able to use it as efficiently or not. A resource may be valuable, rare, inimitable, and non-substitutable, but in order to fully harness the potential of this resource, it needs to be exploited by the organization. Valuable, rare, inimitable, non-substitutable, and exploited resources by the organizations are typically able to provide a sustained competitive advantage. So that means if you are follow this process, then definitely you are having sustained competitive advantage. So here just let us try to summarize it here. That is the resource or capability valuable? If it is no, you are having competitive disadvantage. If it is yes, whether it is rare, if it is not rare, then competitive parity you are facing. That means all the competitors are on the same or same platform. Then the next question is whether it is costly to imitate. If it is yes, then the next question will be that if it is no, then temporary competitive advantage you have. If it is yes, then the next question is organized to capture value. That means whether you are able to exploit whatever the opportunity you have by using that resources. If it is yes, then you are sustainable competitive advantage. If it is no, then you are temporary competitive advantage. So that is what it is. Thank you so much.